Bienvenue à tous. Je vais vous demander de vous installer confortablement, mais peut-être pas trop. Cette conférence est en anglais. Donc, si vous ne comprenez pas l'anglais, eh bien, je vous invite à vous diriger vers l'entrée pour récupérer un casque qui vous permettra de comprendre complètement la conférence. Voilà. Alors pour cette conférence, le business model des portails, la bascule américaine, Changing Landscape of Property, Search Portal in America. Pour animer cette conférence, je vais demander à Victor Lund, sous vos applaudissements, qui est CEO de... non, pardon, j'ai inversé. Non, c'est bon, c'est bien lui. Le CEO de Retechnology et Managing Partner de Wave Group, sous vos applaudissements. Ils me font parfois des blagues avec qui est animateur, qui est conférencier. C'est à vous.
Yeah.
Bonne conférence.
Hello, everyone, and good afternoon. I'd like to introduce our keynote speaker today. His name is Joel McIntosh. Joel operates one of the largest portals in all of America. It's a portal called Movoto, but the holding company is Ojo. And he runs data services for that company. He's been around the real estate industry for more than 20 years and in North America. And it's my pleasure. Please help me welcome Joel to the stage.
Thank you very much. Hi, everybody.
So do you want to sit or stand?
Let's stand.
Okay, we're going to stand. So thank you all for coming this afternoon. In preparation for being here today, I believe this is the 5th year that I've come to Rent. Haven't been here since 2019 because of the global pandemic. But something has changed a lot in America. We've seen real estate portals change from advertising websites to real estate brokerages. And this is something that not many people in Europe really understand. And so I brought Joel here to talk a little bit about the history of the listing portal in America and talk about how they've evolved over the years and how they've switched to become real estate brokers. So Joel, tell us a little bit about how you got started in real estate technology.
Oh, me? So I started in 1996 was where, that's a long time ago. I look at it now. The gray hair, I earned all of them. We started by building websites, and real estate was an accident. We stumbled into real estate. A broker asked us, can you help us build a property search? And we said, I think so. How do we do that? Well, you have to go to the MLS. Like
what's an MLS?
What is the MLS? And so, do we know what an MLS is in the United States? Yeah. Multiple listing service where agents and brokers enter their listings. So we built a property search for that company, and then slowly, market by market, throughout the United States, we brought in data from 650 MLSs. Before that, so that's just...
Can I just draw a comparison?
Sure.
So in the United States, there are 120,000 real estate brokerages and just a little bit less than 2 million real estate agents. So his company was marketing the service of creating a website for every real estate agent. That was their goal. You had a big customer, right? Who was the big customer?
Keller Williams. We serviced about 500,000 agents by the time we were acquired, roughly. And Ojo Labs bought us in 2018. And they're out of Austin, Texas, an AI company at the time. And since then, and we'll talk about this later, but since then, the AI company that bought the property search business, website business, is now a major portal in the U.S. So let's back up. Let's back up and talk a little bit about syndication.
Yeah, so originally the way that real estate agents would get listings on their website was their broker would authorize that to happen from the multiple listing service. That's still the way it happens today. But there was one company that went to each of the MLSs. They were sponsored by the Industry Trade Association, the National Association of Real Estate, and they built a portal called Realtor.com. Raise your hand if you know Realtor.com. Okay, perfect. So Realtor.com was great, but new companies came in and they wanted to compete with Realtor.com. And who was the first big company that came in and competed with Realtor.com?
Probably the biggest, probably Trulia would be first, I would think.
And what year was that?
That was 2014. 2014.
So the whole thing hasn't really taken that long to change, right?
No, it really hasn't. It seems like it should be way before that, but it wasn't.
And then along came Zillow.
Then along came Zillow, and in 2015, which again, that's pretty recent, you know.
So what was unique about Zillow and Trulia is that they could not get access to the MLS. So explain why they couldn't get access to those listings and what they did instead.
Yeah, so with an MLS, you have to be a member in order to access the data. And so in 2007, a company called 3Wide came out and launched a business line called ListHub. And ListHub, the objective was to syndicate listings. So ListHub entered into contracts with each MLS, and their job was to take those listings with permission, because the broker said, please do this for me, and they would send their listings out to various different websites, newspapers, aggregators, for the purposes of marketing those listings. So the broker had a choice. The broker said, yes, please send my listing. So that's where it all started.
So the only way that a listing could get onto a portal in America, that if you weren't a real estate broker, was through listing syndication. And listing syndication lived for maybe 5 or 6 years, and today it's pretty much finished, right?
More or less. I mean, it's still out there, just not the same impact. So one of the big things that happened was, so Zillow, we probably know who that is. Everybody knows Zillow. And Zillow originally started with their Zestimate, which is an AVM, automated valuation model. And that was the beginning of their business until they heard about syndication. And they said, we'll take that data. So they took the syndicated data. But then what happened was News Corp purchased Move Inc. in 2015. And News Inc., or News Corp owning Move Inc. Move Inc. operated Realtor.com. So now Zillow they were receiving the data from their top competitor. And they didn't like that very much. So in 2015, Zillow canceled their contract with ListHub, and they went directly to the MLSs to get the data, one by one by one. They had, at that time, hundreds of people traveling to the MLSs and meeting one-on-one with the executives to sign contracts. And they kind of had a permission, and it was whatever it takes to get the deal. Don't come back to headquarters unless you have a contract that's signed. And so they did. But before they could do that, they became a brokerage, a licensed real estate brokerage, so that they would have permission to acquire that data.
So one of the big things that happened, and it probably happened here as well, is that real estate was the #1 advertiser in newspapers. And when real estate brokerages and agents started to advertise on portals, the revenue in the real estate in the newspaper company went down. And so the replacement of that for News Corp, which is our largest it's globally the largest newspaper company in the world, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So when News Corp began to acquire Realtor.com, it was for the purposes of trying to retain and get that advertising back. So they started operating it as an advertising website. And part of their strategy was they realized that the only way that listings could get to Zillow was if they went out and got them through ListHub. So by acquiring ListHub and Realtor.com, they were able to gain an advantage over Zillow.
Yeah, so a very interesting thing that happened was with the syndication, anybody could operate a portal. So there was a point in time in which there were hundreds, 300, 400, 500 real estate portals. You would never know who they were, but there were hundreds of them out there. And remember, it was a broker opt-in. So the broker is saying, yes, please send my listings out. Well, they didn't know that this was going to happen. And so the value of the syndicated data started going down because the brokers now are getting leads back for their own listings that they had to pay for. And they didn't like that very much. So they slowly started to realize, okay, I'm not in control at all of my listings. They're out of control. So they started opting out. And that's about the time when the Realty Alliance, which is a consortium of the most powerful independent brokerages in the United States, is the Realty Alliance. And they came up with something called the Fair Display Guidelines. Number one for the guidelines was the broker has to be in control of their listings. And number two, their data, their listings could not be syndicated without their authorization.
So in a lot of ways, what the Realty Alliance was trying to do is say, listen, every listing that we have that we're responsible for is like a work of art. We need to copyright that. If anybody wants to use it, they have to pay for us. They have to pay us to use it. We're done with the days of paying portals to advertise our property. They get the opportunity to get customers with our listings, therefore they should pay us. It was a remarkable change of thought, and it had a profound impact on what happened next, which was the death of listing syndication. Because when brokers would listing syndicate, they would say, I'm only going to share my listings with websites who agree to give me the leads back on my listing at no charge. So once listing syndication died, Zillow had to change their model, as Joel said. They became a real estate broker and were able to obtain listings just like any other real estate broker. But there were two innovative companies in Austin that kind of got started at the same time. So you want to tell us about Ojo and...
Sure.
Yeah.
So I think first, before I do that, in order for the portal to survive, they had to become a broker. And most of them had to become a licensed broker in each state in the United States. And then they also had to join an MLS, become a member of the MLS, and that means you have to pay fees and you have to participate. And also, usually it meant they had to join an association as well. So there's a lot of overhead. It's a big lift. It's difficult to do. But that was really the only path, because once the syndicated data started getting cut, it's the only way they could compete. So around that time Victor's talking, I received a phone call In fact, he referred me, the customer, his name is Ben Rubenstein. He owned a company called OpCity. And Ben called me up and said, yeah, Victor told me to call you. I need data. I said, okay, what do you do? Well, our company, we take leads from real estate brokers and we convert them to customers. And we do it better than a broker can, better than agents, because we do it right now. We take the lead, we talk to the lead, and we connect that person. If they're ready to go, we connect them with an agent in real time. And I said, oh, great. So you need MLS. So what's your background? Well, I was a co-founder of a company called Yodel, and we sold to web.com. I said, oh, interesting. Okay, so 2 weeks later, I get another phone call, this time from a guy named John Berkowitz. And John Berkowitz goes on, I said, well, what do you do? Well, we run an AI company, and we're gonna nurture leads for real estate agents and then convert them over time. So not the people who are ready today, but the ones in 6 months, 9 months, 18 months. And I said, what's your background? Well, I was a co-founder of a company called Yodel, and we sold to web.com for $350 million. And I thought, this is kind of suspicious that I would get both. I didn't say anything. I wanted to say, do you know Ben? But instead, I just zipped it. I thought 2 customers for me, I'll take it. But then I ended up going to Austin, Texas, and meeting the third partner, David Rubin, and we sat down in this meeting, and he had really long hair, and it rolled up in a bun on top of his head. He looked like a hippie, his clothes, and he sat at the end of it. I was like, who is this guy over here? I had no idea. And so this meeting goes on for about an hour. He didn't know anything. And he asked a question at the end of the meeting that was one of the most insightful, profound, brilliant questions that anybody could ask. And I thought again, who is this guy? Well, he was the third partner of Yodel that sold to web.com for $350 million. And he owned a company called Profit Fuel. Profit Fuel was a sales company. They just sold, they converted leads very well. And Yodel, Ben and John, they bought David's company before they sold it to web.com. And so when David came in, at that time, Ben Rubenstein, he was the vice president of sales. And so he was intimidated, this challenger saying that he could, sell better. So it turns out that they did a competition to see who could sell the best. So they took their 2 teams, and it turned out that David Rubin from Profit Fuel, his company actually, or his process, his platform or playbook is what we call it, was superior. And so what's funny about that is Ben took that experience, brought us to OpCity, and that's what made that company so successful. And then Realtor.com bought OpCity, and this is really where a big change happened, where the real estate portals went from selling leads for $15 to $35 to taking a referral fee, or 35% of the transaction, 35% of the side. You're nodding. It's incredible.
Too much, right?
It was a big shift. And so most of the portals then started looking at that model saying, maybe that's the better way to go.
Yeah, so let's unpack that a little bit. Like, some of the data that we learned is that real estate agents aren't very good at engaging with a customer who calls them or sends them an email and says, I'm interested in property. We did research on 100,000 leads and found that 50,000 of them went unanswered. So if you can imagine your lead cost, customers are raising their hands saying, I'd like to work with an agent. I'd like to buy a piece of property. Can you show me property? Can you tell me about this listing? And more than half the time, agents were not following up. They were not responding at all. We call this lead fatigue. Real estate agents were getting all these leads, but most of these leads were not very good. So in your priority of the things that you were doing every day as an agent, you would leave leads for last. And you would only contact those people if you wanted them. Calling a stranger isn't very fun, even though they've raised your hand. So we did a little more research, and we looked at a brokerage company that is along the eastern seaboard of the United States. They actually go from Florida all the way up to Massachusetts, Boston. A company called Weichert. And Weichert, they really grew their business generating online leads. What did they call it? Lead Street?
Lead Street.
Lead Street. So Weichert Lead Street gave us opportunity to come in and look at their data, and we discovered something fascinating, which is that the number one reason why agents weren't following up with leads is it took 350 days before they went from a lead to a close. So using these two pieces of data, one, that agents aren't following up with leads, and number two, that the time that it takes to convert an online lead to a customer is so much longer, were actually the two triggers that led to this new opportunity for portals to stop sending leads to real estate agents and start working those leads themselves. They built internal CRMs. They built drip marketing. They did all of the things that real estate agents around this room are trying to buy in order to manage their customers and to convert more leads.
So here's something Ojo did that's really interesting. So Ojo has people in Minneapolis, Minnesota, Chicago, Illinois, San Mateo, California, Port-au-Prince in St. Lucia, and Guadalajara, Mexico. And I think you could say the folks in St. Lucia are a secret weapon in many ways. They make, let's say somebody in St. Lucia, if they make $4,000 or $5,000 or $6,000 a year, that's good money. And so our company previously, so John, the guys I talked about before, Yodel, they had opened up an office in St. Lucia before. So with the opening of Ojo, back down to St. Lucia, opened another office. They're native English speakers, and really, they are so happy to have a job. It's incredible.
How many people in St. Lucia do you employ today?
So I was mistaken yesterday. It was double what I thought. So about 450 people in St. Lucia, and they actually work from home, which is also pretty incredible considering the infrastructure there. But here's the key. The point is this, is that when a lead comes in, they don't sit around. The lead gets answered immediately, and we call and talk to the consumer right away, immediately. And we don't press them super hard. We ask them, we do discovery, and we find out if they're interested in purchasing now. And if they are, we connect them with the best possible real estate agent that we can. If they're not ready, they go into a nurturing campaign, and they get brought back up later and connected to an agent when they're ready.
So your company was out there selling websites. These guys came along. They talked to you about how can you help us with data management. You gave them proposals, and then what happened?
Help me more.
They bought your company.
Yeah, they bought the company. So it was about, at that time, it was really about data. The data was so important to have, and to have it all aggregated and connected. Even in the U.S., even though it's possible, it's still very difficult to go gather it all and put it into one format and use it and follow compliance and the regulations and all those details. Very difficult. Now coming back to a differentiator that I think is, I mentioned to you that when Ojo bought us, they were an AI company. So AI and machine learning was super important. So rather than trying to keep that separate from the portal, we connected them, okay? So one of the things that we use our AI for is lead scoring. So when a lead comes in, our AI analyzes the lead and is 87.1% accurate after less than 6 months. 87.1% accurate in determining, is this lead going to close now or later? So we could, and here's where it's really profound when you think about that, is that that out of 100 leads, at least in the US, maybe 2 will sell, now and 98 later. So to be able to know where you put your energy is monumentally important. But furthermore, with that kind of lead scoring, the implications are incredible because we can modify our Google ad campaigns and how we purchase ads and which consumers we go after and lower our price by 50%. We can improve the end-to-end experience for the consumer. We can do agent matching in a significantly enhanced way. So the lead scoring and the AI has incredible potential across the board. And it's a huge competitive advantage for us.
One of the new innovations about lead scoring and lead routing and lead management today is that when a lead comes into a portal now, rather than just sending it to an agent, random round robin, or an agent that happens to work in that marketplace, they actually take the customer information, they go out to social media, and they go to LinkedIn, and they go to Facebook, they go to Instagram, they go to Snapchat, and they say, do we have an agent in our network that already knows them? So in this room, if there was a lead that came from Eric Charbonneau from Montreal, it would go to me, because I may be the only man in this room that knows Eric. And that improved lead routing tremendously. So we're seeing the usage of third-party data. There's a big data company called Experian. I don't know if they're here or not, but Experian allows you to score a customer in terms of what their income opportunities are without doing a credit application. So it just looks at their name, what address information, their email, and starts to put a picture together of this person. Are they married? Do they have children? Are they a homeowner now? How much do they owe on their current home? All of this information is being used by the big portals today to determine how to manage and grow these leads and how to convert these leads more effectively.
Did they recently sell a company? Did they recently have a death in the family where there was inheritance?
Or divorce.
Did they divorce and money is on the table? It's incredible the amount of data that, and not only that, but to think about how fast that data is collected. It's real time in API. That lead comes in and we're checking 5, 6, 7 different sources of data, bring it into our platform, let the AI do its analysis, make the determination, then analyze which agent they should go to, and then we call them.
How many agents are doing this in their business today? None. Exactly. So this is one of the things that we're seeing emerge with portals, is they're able to launch systems, to use data, to use analytics, to use other verification sources to become smarter, not only at serving the client, but delivering greater value to the real estate agent. Before we came up here today, I was talking to Joel because they went out and they bought one of their customers. So there was a portal called Movoto, and Movoto used WolfNet, Joel's company, to go and collect all of the data from all of the MLSs and feed that portal. And really, when Ojo bought WolfNet, they were really thinking less about being a portal operator and more about how can we go to brokerages and say, listen, we'll do a better job at converting leads. You're going to get more revenue for all of these leads that you generate because we're really good at it, because we're deploying all of these tools. And you bought Movoto, and now Movoto is what? Where do they rank in all the portals in America?
They rank number 5 in the U.S. So it's Zillow, Realtor, Trulia, Redfin, Movoto. And the funny thing is that the world works in mysterious ways. Businesses evolve in mysterious ways. Startups, they start here and they end up over there. That's how it was with Ojo. Ojo was originally an AI assistant designed to help a consumer through a journey. It was not meant to, convert leads immediately. It was meant to help convert the leads that didn't convert immediately. And over time, one of the learning lessons there was that agents don't care so much about that because that doesn't put food on the table today. If you want to eat, you need the leads that convert now. And so the business shifted a little bit, and our purchase of Movoto was was opportune. Nobody knew about Movoto really because of number 5. It's far enough in the back. Now our CEO contacted the Movoto CEO and said, "Hey, are you interested in selling your company?" He said, "Yeah," and so we bought them. Best kept secret.
And I think, that's one of the interesting things is that of the top 5 portals in America, how many are profitable, Joel?
1.
They have the only profitable portal in North America. And the reason being is the cost of data aggregation, the cost of operating the systems that are required to run a national portal in America. So can you give us a little bit of math about what the minimum cost is to sort of aggregate all the US data?
So if you're lucky and you're operating out of your basement and you only eat basic noodles and drink water, you could start a business like that for around $5 million, and a bare minimum $1.5 to $2 million a year just to keep it limping. Okay, that's at the bottom. Otherwise, a good $10 million to get it going, and $3 to $5 million a year to maintain.
So that's an interesting number for you guys to take home. For businesses that want to launch in America and they want to operate in every state, you're looking at, nearly a $10 million raise. In the cases of Zillow, Trulia, and other companies, they've raised, how much now?
Well, I mean, if you look at the fact that Zillow went public, they raised billions.
Billions, yeah.
And they're still not profitable.
So it's interesting that the change in their business model has improved things. I think Zillow and Trulia made a mistake when they went into the iBuying business, e-buying, I think you call it here. That really hasn't worked at all. I was on stage earlier with an iBuyer here from Europe, and I don't know, that's going to be a very difficult thing. When you have to hold inventory of real estate for a long time, the cost of holding that inventory, of maintaining it, becomes very, very extreme. So you have to churn those properties very quickly, and it's really nothing that you can control. The only thing that you can control when you're trying to accelerate the sale of a home is the price. So if you're buying at a discount of maybe 6%, which is fairly normal with iBuying, you have to turn that property very quickly to retain any additional income.
Yeah, that e-buying or iBuying is very interesting. Zillow went after it because there was only one other competitor, Opendoor. And Zillow had an opportunity to be a market leader in that space. But I don't think there's a lot of room. I told Victor, I thought my opinion of that was, it's like if I'm a store, I accept cash, credit cards, gold bullion, and silver bullion, if you have it. I'll take Ethereum, I'll take Bitcoin, and if you have a Rolex, we can talk about that too. But I think at the end of the day, for a consumer, the iBuy concept is, you acknowledge as a seller that you are going to forfeit 5% of your home value so you can get out fast. Not everybody's going to do it. So there's really only room for one major market leader. Zillow tried, and I think the most impressive thing is they knew they'd lost, and they got out quick. They shut it down. So Opendoor wins that race.
Well, Opendoor kind of wins that race. I mean, they're still in business. They're still doing iBuying. Unfortunately, last quarter, if you didn't see the media, they lost $1 billion. That's quite a bit of a hit to your P&L. So, we'll see whether or not Opendoor is able to continue. I mean, it makes sense, right? When you purchase an automobile, you take your used car, you go and trade it in, you get the new car, you drive away. But with houses, it just really hasn't really happened, and I don't think it will happen. So let's just turn now and talk about the future of portals. So we know that portals used to be advertising websites. We covered that. We know that the portals converted into brokerages. So they're like Keller Williams or Coldwell Banker or any other brokerage in America today or in Europe and around the world. Where do you see them going in the future? Where do you see your business going in the future?
Yeah, I think so. For us, the way we look at it is, how do you create the best possible consumer experience? How do you make it so that the customer is the happiest they can possibly be? And we feel that that is an integrated experience that goes from the beginning, from the top of the funnel, not only to the bottom of the funnel, but years after. For example, if you're a homeowner, a first-time homeowner, you don't know things like, I don't know, I was telling Victor at my house, I have an air exchanger, okay? The air exchanger, most people would look at the furnace and go, I'm not going in there. No, I won't even look at it. But there's an air exchanger, and there's a filter that's a box that's about the size of 2 of these. And every 6 months, you're supposed to take it out and clean it and put it back in. People don't know this. They wait 6 years, and their furnace blows up, and because it can't breathe. There's not enough air, because it's so clogged up. It's simple things like that. The consumer needs to have a better experience. They need proactively to know how to maintain a house and how to go through that process. And if you're providing an exceptional experience, 7 years after that, when they go buy their next house, they're still working with you. And I think that's the future, is an all-encompassing experience from the buy side, the sell side, mortgage, title, insurance, and everything in between.
So the way that we understand that is that real estate needs to stop being so transactional. We need to stop thinking so much about helping the buyer and the seller do the transaction and closing. We need to think more clearly about customers for life. And when you start to think about customers for life, a great coach, real estate coach in America named Tom Ferry, he coined the term homeowners under management. Homeowners under management. And the idea there is that if I'm your real estate agent and I've worked with you to buy or sell a home, and I think of you as my customer for life, I'm going to stay with you through the journey of home ownership. I'm going to contact you and remind you to change the filter so that your heater or your air conditioner works more effectively. I'm going to explain to you that you can save money by changing out the light bulbs for more efficient light bulbs, or that you have to clean the gutters out so the rainwater runs through, or when you have to replace your roof, or when you should upgrade your appliances, how you should fix your appliances when they're broken. I'll call somebody that I know to come and fix it. So one of the things that's really a great asset of real estate agents in America is they know everybody. So when we close a home, any work that needs to be done on that home, the real estate agent usually goes out to find the people to fix it. So if there's a leaky roof, the real estate agent's the one who says, oh, we got to fix the roof before we sell this house. And so this is where we see the future of portals, and we see it as a battle between portals and real estate agents. Who's going to win? Is the real estate agent going to be the one that is able to maintain that customer for life and begin to think about homeowners under management to get all the referrals from their friends and their family members because they did such a great job after the sale of helping them with home ownership, teaching them how to own a home, how to maintain a home, or a portal's going to do it.
Now, to be clear, I want to clarify something. With Ojo, we partner with the agents. We fundamentally believe that agents will rule forever, and that's how we want it. We don't want to supplant agents. We want to partner with agents and with the best.
You never want to go show a house?
No, I mean, agents are professionals. They're very good at what they do. Once they have what they need, they can execute at an extraordinarily high level, much higher level than we can. So we're filling in with the strengths that we have and cooperating with them with their strengths. And it's a winning formula.
Excellent. Well, we hope that this little history lesson of portals in America, like one of the things that we see is frequently a lot of the things that change in the US eventually change over here in Europe. So maybe some of these things might be in your future, I don't know. Maybe some of these ideas like homeowners under management, you can take home and they can guide you in your thoughts and in your planning for how you can be more successful. We do have time for some questions before we go to drink beer. So if you have any questions, we'll be happy to answer your questions. Just raise your hand and we'll bring you a mic. No questions? Let's go get beer.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Si vous en avez marre des méthodes de prospection traditionnelles toujours plus chronophages qui génèrent de moins en moins de résultats, la stratégie conseiller influent est faite pour vous. Recevez directement sur votre téléphone des demandes d'estimation sur votre secteur. Qualifié par nos soins et transformé en rendez-vous vendeur directement pris dans votre agenda. Tout ce qu'il vous restera à faire sera de vous rendre en rendez-vous vendeur avec votre plus beau sourire. Rendez-vous au stand C66 pour découvrir la stratégie conseiller influent. Si vous en avez marre des méthodes de prospection